The topics that we will consider in crime in society, which include violence, street crime, crimes against the environment, white-collar crime, and numerous others, may strike us as both fascinating and troubling. We may discover that these many topics in crime, criminal justice, and criminology have some many related dimensions that seem impossible to comprehend at any given point in time, place, or specific cultural context. Not to mention trying to solve these many issues as we realize that crime, in its various settings, has a taxing effect on us, our families, communities, and societies. If we begin this journey in criminology with a sense of panic, we may, interestingly enough, be better off than we would if we instead approach the topic with a sense of certainty. In fact, it is the sense of certainty about crime, whether it be the war on drugs, the war on terror, or our views on guns and violence in society, that, interestingly enough, has led to our collective ignorance, apathy, and misguidance in terms of addressing crime and its numerous social problems. Indeed, looking at the metaphorical imagery of a prison fence, we might say that we are all, collectively, trapped by our images of crime. By looking at crime as an image, we realize the short-sightedness of our interpretations of crimes and our approaches to its many policy dimensions. Consider the image of a police car with its lights flashing. For some, this picture might imply a sense of security that comes with its association with police who protect and serve. But for others, who have had negative encounters with local police, the picture might instead connote domination, oppression, and unfair forms of social control. Regardless of the image at hand or the mirrored associations and meanings that go along with it, the idea of crime as an image suggests the need to carefully address how crime appears to all of us. We live in a media-based society, and it perhaps comes with little or no surprise to us that the media produces powerful and indeed dangerous images of crime that impact how we understand this vital issue in our society. The media's shaping of our understandings of the images of crime around us has numerous costs to all of us. Consider an issue like guns in American society. It would be quite easy to follow the media's lead, whether it advocates a pro or anti-gun agenda, and simply run with it. But this would neglect the nuance of the issue at hand and the many issues that we can and should associate with this particular image of crime. Yet, we are so often unable to consider the nuance, complexity, and multi-causal nature of crime and its policy implications, and thus we might think about conceptually turning off the channel, so to speak, and re-attenuating our minds when it comes to understanding crime. By so doing, we begin to experience the idea that crime is a social construct, a thing that is created by numerous actors in society and for numerous purposes. Often, we are told that a given purpose at hand, such as policing our cities, is meant to protect us, when, in fact, it is actually doing the opposite and harming us. This is the true complexity of crime in society, and this is a main reason that we study it using the critical insights of criminology. Prior to enrolling in a criminology class, we might be inclined to think of crime in simple ways or only in certain ways, such as crime is always street crime. But even with a simple bit of reflection, such as on the historical nature of crime in society, we begin to see the limitations of commonsensical views of crime. Consider, for example, the increasing prevalence of cybercrime, whether of a financial nature or crimes that are committed using the internet or mobile media as a means of facilitation, Years ago, such crimes did not even exist. As we consider the fact that crime is a social construct, we go about the difficult task of trying to ascertain fantasy from reality. It is indeed a challenge, as Plato reminded us in his allegory of the cave in the Republic, and we soon realize that the lines between fantasy and reality are blurred. We read a compelling crime story about a serial killer in the newspaper, or catch the crime report on the nightly news, and we are drawn into what could be called the reality or the fantasy of crime, or, as we will see, both. As we begin to unpack the many visions that we have of crime, we discover things about ourselves and our society, and often we come to disturbing conclusions. We push back against these visions by engaging in our own criminological research. We analyze data, interview people from all sides of the criminological equation, and use the many social scientific methods at our disposal to compare our findings with the visions suggested by the many other actors in the world. We are frustrated at times, but we are resolute in our determination to not fall victim to the powerful seductions that are common in crime's various social placements. We combine research with theory. Theory allows us to better understand the how, the why, and the what to do in terms of crime, and our class will involve looking at the many theories that criminologists have deployed to gain a better understanding of crime and society. We might consider criminological theory and its many policy implications as a sort of conceptual alien or monstrous invader that, like those of science fiction films, has the power to radically transform society and its people. And it is with theory that we are reminded of the value of critical approaches in our studies of crime and society. Critical approaches suggest that we look at the complexity, not the simplicity, the multi-causal, not the monocausal, and the contextual, not the commonsensical aspects of crime. Again, it will not be easy to do so, as we have been taught the polar opposite, to think of crime in the simplest and most self-assured senses possible. And thus, it is important to interrogate our own positions when it comes to crime and society, and we refer to this as reflexivity. When you consider issues in this class, focus on how you relate to the topic, interrogate your own biases, and realize the perspectives of others, both within and without this class. Take, for example, the case of marijuana legalization. While it might seem very sensible to you that marijuana be decriminalized, consider that others might have reasons against decriminalization. Perhaps by listening to those voices, you might change your own perspective on this and many other issues that we will tackle in this class. As we consider both our own views of crime and those of others, we might begin to appreciate what is called the constitutive view of crime. In this view, crime is conceived as an integral part of the overall production of society and as a co-production of human agents and the cultural and social structures they continuously create. Constitutive criminology complicates the image we have of crime and forces us to consider the multiple aspects of it. If we wish to solve the troubling social problems that are connected to crime, we might be best served to think of crime in such a more holistic framework. Like the firing of a gun, thinking about crime in any other way is a simple act that has tremendously damaging effects on us and our society. As we focus on crime in society, let us then take a pledge to challenge the prevailing and commonsensical views that will, no doubt, continue to cloud our own views. Perhaps this will involve rethinking our views on policing, or throwing aside our conceptual categories about what crime even is. How many of us would, at this point prior to enrolling in this class, consider the crimes of corporations, so-called sweet or white-collar crimes, to be as serious as those of street criminal contexts? Or could a garbage dump and its myriad social, political, economic, and public health contexts be considered criminal, such that it would be punished on par with the crimes of violent street crime offenders in our world? Or how about viewing society itself in terms of its ability to throw people away economically, politically, and socially, as in this case of a favela or slum, as the great perpetuator of crimes? Are any of these views possible? Might they be possible after we complete this class? Regardless of where we all end up after completing this class, conceptually, politically, personally, and in many other senses, let us take the challenge and focus on the complexity, context, and multidimensionality of crime and society. And we might remember that in order to alter crime and its many dimensions, we must work collectively towards social change. Good luck with this class and your own journey this quarter in crime and society.